This took us about 2 days. We were asked to get into groups of 4, which we were then given a number which corresponded to what section of the trailer we had to try and remake. We then split off into our groups and watched the trailer again, but this time we could only watch the bit that we had got given. After we had finished watching our section of the trailer, we then had to screenshot each moment of each section so we knew what we were going to do and what we were going to film for each section. And then we had to annotate the pictures that we screenshotted with the camera angles that we were going to use and the camera movement. This workshop was about including and using what we had learned from the past 2 workshops, which was the camera angles and the camera movement. One reason we had to use different shots and movements was to create different effects. For example, we had to use an extra long shot with a high angle. This was the drain scene, making the audience sympathise towards him. Furthermore, it makes him look very vulnerable, the fact that he is by himself. We also had to gather any equipment that we needed to film it, ready to organise ourselves and be prepared for the filming phase. We used a camera slide, tracking dolly, a tripod. When we did our filming, we used different pieces of equipment to create different effects. For example, dominance, where we used the tripod to create a low angle on the boy when he first saw the clown. This was showing that the clown had more dominance over the boy. Also, some of the equipment that we used was a little bit broken, like for example the camera slide, the twisty lever was broken, so we had to hold that going along so we could get a smooth shot, otherwise it wouldn't have come off very well. And also because we had to do and make props and put makeup on and stuff, it also delayed time in filming as well, because we had to try and get the makeup right, and we also had to do the props, which took us like 1 day. After we had finished all of our filming, we finally got to edit, and this was my favourite part of the whole experience of doing this, because this is where you could put everything together and it finally looks like you've achieved something. So, however, the editing was hard because we had to combine everything we've learned from the past workshops and put it all into this editing. So to help us with all this editing, we could divide the original trailer up with the blade tool. After we had sectioned things off with the blade tool, it made it a lot easier for us to see which scenes we had to put where and to get it in line. After that was all done, we then got our clips that we had filmed from MacShare, and we had to import them onto Final Cut, and then once they had been imported from Final Cut, we could then drag and drop them into the timeline. Some of our clips were quite long, however, because we had filmed and not stopped. So to do this, we could press I for where we wanted to start it, and then we could watch it, and we could press O to end it and cut it, and then the bits that we had cut, we could drag, and it would be only that part that we selected. The editing was very time consuming, and something for this project you had to watch was your time management, and time management was so hard to keep on track on for this project, because we had to use our time so well, because we had to fit in filming, editing, planning, and all of that takes so much time individually. So we had to space out our time well, and for this we had to make a very good plan and set our time out well, because otherwise if you don't do that, you lose track of time and you spend too much time on doing stuff that you don't really need to spend time on, like making props, like setting out where your location is. But you need to plan what camera angles you're going to use and what equipment you're going to use. We got a plan of we were going to use a camera slide on one day, a tracking dolly on one day, and then a camera mount on the other day. Working in a group for this type of project, I think you could not do it any differently because it would be so hard to do it individually. Working in a group was so much easier and so much more practical, and so many people had different ideas and different ways for us to film our section of our trailer. However, working in a team was hard at some points because some people weren't free on some days and others were, so we had to find one day that everyone was free so everyone could help and get everything done, because as we were filming for such a long time, our time was short and we had less time to edit. From the past workshops to this workshop was massive, because for this task we had to do stuff like props, and we also had to do makeup this time, which we'd never done before. So it was quite hard to manipulate and to try and get what everyone looked like in the actual trailer.